The first half of this video is about exporting your creature from Spore and fixing its rig in Blender. The second half is on how to animate your creature and retargeting animations to it. So keep in mind, you might only need half of this video depending on what you're doing. We're going to start by creating a Spore creature and then exporting it. So open up your copy of Spore. It has to be one of the newer versions. And we are going to go and create a creature. Now I'm going to create a creature specifically to show a couple issues that we might run into, but I will just be making a basic creature. Once we have the creature, we are now going into paint mode, and in this case I'm just going to apply a random texture, just a texture that's a little more noticeable in Blender. And then once we have it, and make sure you do this in paint mode, we are going to hit Control, Shift, and C. That is going to open up the console for cheats, and then we are going to type in the command collada export. Okay, creature must have a name before running the cheat. Let's just go ahead and give it a name, and let's try that again. Okay, it has exported the creature, and it'll show it in the file location, so it is in my Spore Creations documents. And it's going to be a .dae file, which is collada, and we can import that to Blender. So, once we have the collada file exported from Spore, we are going to open Blender, and we are going to delete every single thing inside of the scene collection. Let's go ahead and delete those, and then we're going to go to File, and Import. Oh, let me actually, I'm going to be enabling shortcut viewer. Okay, and I'll do that on the left. Yeah, okay, so that way you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to go to File, then I'm going to import collada, and I'm going to find where we put it. So it's going to be in Documents, Spore Creations, Creatures, and that is the creature that we just exported. So I'm going to import it. And there we go. So that's the start of it. We have our model, and we are going to just be correcting the colors first. So I'm going to go into the color viewing mode, and you're going to see that the colors are not correct. It has black where it should have yellow. So let's go ahead and go to Armature, Object, and we're going to go to the Material Properties. And then we are going to edit the shader slightly. It's not going to be too much work. So I'm going to now go and I'm going to drag this window up, and I'm going to pick the shader editor over here. And then I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to be correcting a few things, right? So the biggest one that you'll notice is we need to change the diffuse texture color from alpha straight to none. That's almost immediately going to make everything look a lot closer. And then we are going to work with the other two textures that belong in a Spore creature. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy and this guy. And then I am going to hit Shift A, and I'm going to add a image texture. Okay. Now, once we have that, I'm going to open it, and I'm going to go to wherever we had our Spore creature. So I think it was in my Spore Creations, Creatures, and it was the normal that we don't have. We already have Specular, and we already have the diffuse, so the next thing is going to be just having the normal. And then we need to add the normal map. And we gotta hook this color to color, normal to normal. And then we need to change the settings on this guy as well. So instead of color space RGB, it's a non-color. And we're going to go to the specular, and we're going to make an invert for him. So I'm going to invert, color goes to color, and this color goes to the roughness setting, and that basically is how glossy something is. So it is the opposite of a specular map. And that's why we invert it. Okay, so now we have the fully textured model in Blender. So now the next step is going to be getting the rig and the animations. So let's go ahead and start with the rigging of it. And to do that, it's already having a rig inside of it. We just need to correct it because it doesn't import to Blender that good. So I'm going to go to Armature, then I'm going to go to Object Data Properties, Viewport Display, and then in front. I'm going to hit that check mark. That's going to make all of these little dots visible in the creature, and then we are going to scale them up. So to do that, we are going to go from Object to Edit Mode, and you're going to hit A. Then you are going to hit Scale, so I'm going to have us hit the S key, and yeah, so it's scaling everything based on an awkward point. So we need to change the pivot point of the scale from median to individual origin. So now they're all going to be scaling based on where they are. So to do that, let's go ahead and hit S, and then I'm going to type in a number. So I'm just going to do like 50,000. Okay, now they're visible. After we get this, I'm going to go to Text, Editor, and I'm going to create a new script. I already built a script that will correct the bones, so we can just paste that into the text editor and make so you have all the bones selected by hitting A, and then we're going to run the script. Okay, now everything is completely connected and you should be able to manipulate them, and the bulk of what we need to do has been done already. So now let's just go ahead and try it out, and I'm going to show you an issue that we might want to fix. Right, so if I go into pose mode and then I select a large, let's say the tail, I'm going to rotate it, and you're going to see there are these odd cylindrical kind of dents in the tail. So that's going to be the next thing that we will be correcting. And to do that, we simply have to go to Edit, Uncheck Lock Object Modes. Then we're going to go and we're going to select our armature in pose mode, reselect the parts that you care about. Then we are going to shift click on Object, and you're going to see Object is red and armature is yellow. That's kind of how you can tell what you're selecting. Then we're going to hit Control and P, and there's going to be options here. So we're going to select with automatic weights, and this is going to correct the bones. So you might run into an issue where it doesn't work, and that's not true for all models, but in exports, but in this case it is. So I'm going to go through that step. So to do this, we are going to go to the mesh, go to edit mode. We're going to we're going to select everything, right click, merge vertices by distance. That will remove all the overlapping vertices. And then we are going to try this one more time. So we're going to go here, select our tail, select our object, shift click, Control P with automatic weights. Now, let's go ahead and try and move the tail again. We're going to hit R, then X, and you're going to see that is a lot better than what it was. So that's the big thing there. The next step is going to be, well, we actually have a fully rigged Spore creature that we can animate on our own in Blender. So we have now created a fully rigged model, and we want to get it animated. So to do that, we are going to be getting a software for retargeting called Rikoku Studio Live, or Rikoku. And then we are also going to need an animation to retarget this character too. So let's start with getting the animation, and to do that I'm going to use Mixamo, which is a website that will it will let you just download animations. There's a couple other features here, but that's what we're going to be using it for. So I'm going to look up the word walk. I'm going to get the walking animation. Now, The next step is going to be, well, if you want to make a video game, you want this to be in place. Otherwise, your character is going to move outside of your programming. And then we are going to hit the download button. Once we do that, we are going to look at these options, and we don't want to skin. The keyframe reduction doesn't really matter, so we're going to download that. And then we should have a walking animation downloaded onto your machine. The next step is going to be importing this, so let's go ahead and import this to Blender. I'm going to hit File, Import, FBX. I'm going to find it in my downloads. Yes. And there it is, right? So, in some cases, it might not run this loop as smoothly because it is at like 250 at the end point of your animation in the timeline, right? So make sure that this window is on timeline, and then also make sure that the endpoint is at a number that looks correct to the keyframe. So I'm going to say that is around 32 here. So I'm going to type in 32. And now it's going to loop smoothly versus if you go to 250 and look at the animation, it is not looping very quickly. So I am not going to do this. I'm going to pause it, and we are going to get the retargeting software. So to do this, we are going to go to the Rokoko GitHub. So I believe it is Rokoko. I'm going to be linking this in the description for you guys. So Rokoko Studio Live in Blender. I'm going to click on the code button, and then I'm going to download the zip. Once I have the zip, I'm going to go here, back to Blender. I'm going to then go to my Edit, Preferences, and I'm going to Install with the Install button. Then I'm going to look for wherever I downloaded the zip. In this case, I am having it in Downloads. I can just search it here, and then I can hit Install Add-on. Once you do that, it should be in this list, so then we can search it in the list, Rokoko, and hit the check mark. Once you have that, you should be able to run Rokoko. That'll be good. And then we are going to get started on connecting or retargeting this animation. So we need to go to the Rokoko. To make this menu show up, we are going to hit the N key on your keyboard, and it'll appear. Then we are going to go to Rokoko, and we're going to look through this list, and it's going to be retargeting. And it's going to ask for a source armature and a target armature. Our source is going to be the animated character, and our Spore creature. So once we have that, we're going to build a bone list. Okay, now it automatically picks some of these bones, but a lot of the time with a Spore creature specifically, it's not very accurate or not very filled out even. So we are going to now just kind of look through and see which things go where. So I'm going to be filling this out on my own. I'm going to do a couple of these on just at normal speed. So let's go ahead and disable the main animated guy so we don't have a distraction. I hit the eyeball here to hide it. It's still in the scene. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go to pose mode. I can get the name, and then I'm going to say, okay, so the S root is our hip. The spine should be next to it, so I'll do this guy. And then I'm just going to type the number 10. Then spine 1 should be around here, so I'm going to go, here, and let's say spine 7. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to, I have it filled out. I skipped all of the hands because I don't typically use those in my animations. You could theoretically just hook them up with the existing bones if you cared. And then we are going to retarget the animation. And we should see something that's not quite perfect, but you will get the legs actually look pretty good. The arms are crisscrossing. And that's going to be the next thing we fix. So let's go ahead and undo. So Control Z that. And then we are going to fix the arms. Now, to do that, we can just rotate them a little more. They're over-contracting, so we're going to extend them before we retarget, and that'll make them look good in the final animation. So I'm going to start this by going to select one of the arms, and I'm going to hit R, and I'm going to use precise numbers here. So I'm going to go on the Y-axis, R, Y, and then I'll do 30, wrong direction, minus 30, minus 40. Okay, that looks good. Then I'll go here and I'll do R, Y, 40. Okay, then I'll do here, R, Y, 40, 50. Looks good. R, Y, minus 50. Okay, so the Y is set. Now let's set the Z. I'm going to correct that one. I'll just straighten it out. So I'll do R, Z, 20, minus 20, minus 10. Okay. R, Z, minus 10. 10. Minus 10. Okay, there we go. So that looks better. So now I can go ahead and retarget that one more time. And I'm going to hit current in the Roku settings here instead of rest. And then I'm going to retarget. This might create a funny effect on the animation. So let's go ahead and check it. Yeah, so that looks pretty asymmetrical. And I've seen this happen whenever you are if this is not your rest position, it'll look funny. So we are going to put it back into rest mode for the retargeting, and then we're going to make this our rest mode. And that actually gives you a lot better results. So to do that, all we have to do is we're going to go to Armature, Object. Once we make sure we have Object selected, so we're going to go to Object mode, then pick our object, and we will get a wrench here if the object is truly selected. And then we're going to go to modifiers. Now the armature is considered a modifier, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it, and then we're going to apply the first one. Now it's going to look a little funny on the arms, so what we need to do is go to our armature, go to pose mode, click on the pose option, apply pose as rest pose. Now it is in a new position as its resting position. So if I go into edit, for instance, edit mode, and yeah, it's completely in this position. So I'm going to go to object mode, armature. Now the next thing we're going to do is go to retarget one more time. And let's try that. Okay, so that looks a lot better. Very symmetrical. And now we just need to fix a few more things on here, right? So let's go ahead and we're going to hide the Maximo skeleton. And one thing I'll notice in almost every single Spore creature is these teeth get left behind with the position. They are not in any weight paint at all by default. So I'm just going to delete these teeth because it's not all of them at all, really. It's not really any of the teeth that are existing on the creature. So I'm going to go to object mode, then I'm going to edit, then I'm going to, let me try that one more time actually. So I'm going to go back to object mode, I'm going to go to the modifiers of the armature, and I'm going to select display modifier in edit mode. That'll let us see the teeth outlying even when, oh yeah, and we're also going to check adjust cades to edit modifier result. So we are going to be in this mode so we can edit while in a specific pose, and that way we can select the teeth that are hanging off and just hit the delete key, and I'll delete faces. Let me go into wire mesh mode and then select them. Delete faces, gone. Okay, so now the next step is, well, let's just see what we have right now. So we have an animated creature that's moving pretty solid. There could be minor adjustments that you could do by fixing the rest pose even more. And then we are going to just correct for the height. Now, you would think you could just move the creature down, but that just messes everything up. So even if you go in armature, it's not moving your origin, which is that orange dot. So what we have to do is we're going to go into the animation tab, and there we have a couple options. We have the dope C, and we are going to change this window into a graph editor, and we're going to select just that root bone, which is kind of our center of the creature, and we're going to change its position during the animation. So I'm going to hide all the rotations. I'm going to pick our X, Y, Y location, and then just drag a box around the line, and then take the first node and drag it down. Now that's going to do half of it. It's still not quite where we want it, so we're going to do the next with the Z location, and we're going to put it down to 0. Now it is centered to the origin, and the feet are where you would want them for most things. So I'm going to say that's good. We can go back to the layout. And there we go. We have an animated creature. I can just, let's see. I will go here and just go to viewport, hide the bones again. There we go. So it is pretty much looking like a good animation from Spore. That's the end. Okay, that's the end of the video. I'm going to link similar tutorials in the description, and feel free to leave a comment if you get stuck on anything. I'll try to respond to them. Yeah.